I am fully aware how a lot of you are here. A lot of you saw a flyer to this event that had Kamala Harris's face on it, and it said, "Do not come to this show. Do not come." And then you all did your best impersonation of Willie Brown. And now you're here. So how about a round of applause for all of you guys? To answer the first question you guys all probably have is Jobob his real name? It is legally on my birth certificate. What happened was one grandpa was Joe, the other one was Bob. My parents couldn't figure out which one to name me after, so they decided to make high school very difficult for this guy. It is tough growing up in California with a name like Jobob. But when I'm in the great state of Montana, it's still a really weird name. You gotta go south and take a left. Replace the Joe with the Jim. You know, I love being in Montana. I realize that's a very scary thing for a Californian to say. I'm aware. But God, it's such a great experience. We were at the Walmart a little bit earlier. We got in a little bit earlier. We went to the Walmart, and we come out of the store, and there was a bunch of cop cars streaking across the parking lot. And they arrested somebody at the end of the parking lot. And, me being from California, I was like, oh my gosh, did they kill someone? And there was a Walmart employee standing right next to me, and he was like, no, they were shoplifting. See, but then me being from California, my first thought was, what's the problem? My second thought was, you speak English? But where was I? Jobob. Jobob is legally on my birth certificate. I'm pretty used to it nowadays. I like to have fun with the weird name. Sometimes when I introduce myself to people that I know I'm never going to see again, I'll use like a normal name. Like, sir, what's your name? How about you, sir? Let's try again. Second time. Yeah, either one. Victor. I will, when my wife introduces, this is my husband, I'll say, Victor, nice to meet you. Now this puts her in a very uncomfortable situation because she has two not good options. The first option is to let me go by Victor the rest of the evening and play along with any of the other lies that I've made up. Like, I'm Victor, I was the lead ballerina in the Russian ballet. That's option one. Option two is she has to pull one of these numbers. I'm so sorry. He's just kidding. His name isn't Victor. It's Jobob. Now they don't know who to believe. So one grandpa was Joe, the other one was Bob. That's how you have a brown guy with a hillbilly Alabama backwoods name. I do, if you know any Jobobs, I probably have more teeth than them. I also was not there on January 6th. If your name is Jobob, the probability is pretty high. Not all stereotypes are true. But some are, though. Us Jobobs, not known for being good at math. I'm not good at math. It would be word problems. Word problems were always the ones that screwed me up. Like I'd read a word problem and say, if a train leaves Cincinnati, Ohio, going 80 miles an hour, and has to go around a 90-degree bend, how long will it take for the train to derail? I have no idea. The only thing that I know is the president will never visit. If you don't know this, I work for a news outlet, or got my start in political commentating from a news outlet called the Daily Caller. Anybody heard of the Daily Caller? Yeah. So if you don't know this, the Daily Caller was founded by a little-known, semi-retired talk show host by the name of Tucker Carlson. Yeah. So you guys have heard of him. Actually, that's really interesting then, because in the audience tonight, I don't know if you've seen him already, Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Tucker Carlson would be so disappointed you fell for that. You think he's going to come to this? And also, if Tucker was here, don't you think you'd be able to figure it out by now? Hear his laugh? Is that Tucker Carlson? So I work at a news outlet called the Daily Caller. And the Daily Caller is really interesting because I'm kind of an opinions commentator guy. And I got to work with journalists. And the media right now and politics in general is insane. I don't know if you've noticed. But journalists, I'll let you guys in on a little secret, journalists are crazy people. Let me give you a brief example of an interaction I had with a journalist. In August of 2021, I got a text message from a journalist buddy of mine that said, "Hey man, what are you doing on Thursday?" Now we've all been here. The open-ended, ambiguous text that doesn't tell you what they want you to do on Thursday. When you respond, you have to respond strategically or you open yourself up to potential abuse. Right? Because I don't know this guy, right? Don't know him very well. I don't know what he wants me to do on Thursday. It could be that he's like, "Hey man, can you help me move?" Or "I need help hiding this dead body." Or "It's my turn to wash grandma." Whatever it is, I can't say that I'm completely free because that opens me up to whatever he wants to do. But I also can't be like, I'm totally cut off. There's no way I can do anything for you because I don't know this guy. It's very possible he could say, "Hey, I don't know if you know this about me, but I teach a makeout class with the Laker girls. Can you help me with the final exam?" Yes. Right, so I text back strategically saying, "Not sure. What's up?" The text that I get back is probably the most ridiculous text I've ever gotten, or maybe that anyone has ever sent in the entire history of the human universe. The text that I got back said, I kid you not, "Do you want to go to Afghanistan?" Anybody remember what was happening in August of 2021 in Afghanistan? True story. I get a text message that basically says, "Hey man, do you want to go to Afghanistan on Thursday?" No. Right, but I can't say that, right? I want to be cool, calm, and collected. These are my work colleagues. So I texted back, "What time?" And he was like, "Does it matter?" No. I'm much better off being a smartass on the TV. Which is an interesting thing for me. I've been doing comedy for a long time, but I kind of more recently got started on the whole political thing. And so it's new for me. I didn't grow up in this media bubble. It's new for me. It's new for a lot of my friends. And my wife and I were out to dinner with a couple friends a while back. And the guy was like, "Hey man, I saw you on TV. I saw you on Fox News." I'm like, "Yeah man, I go on Fox every once in a while, do Newsmax like once a week." And he's like, "That is so cool. It is my dream to be on TV. I've always wanted to be on TV." To which I said, "How bad?" Because that's really the function of whether or not you get on TV. Look, if you throw on a turban and a backpack and run through the airport, you're going to be on TV. But it doesn't have to be that crazy, right? It could just be weird. Like you see the evening news broadcast, "Local man attempts to break Guinness Book of World Records for most poops in a single adult diaper." Jennifer Chen has the story. "Hi Tom, we're here with Victor as he attempts to do the impossible." So all of you have jobs, right? I have a weird job where I get to go on TV, which is crazy to me. All of you have jobs, and in those jobs, I would assume that you all have the office idiot. Like, "Oh, who put motor oil in the fax machine. Ah, it's the office idiot. Ah, who ran into my car in the parking lot? Ling Ling. Also the office idiot. So in TV, when you take away the lights, the cameras, all of the personnel, the writing, everything, at the end of the day, it's just a regular job. And just like every other job, we also have the office idiot. Except we call those people producers. I'm going to give you an example that happens so often when I go on these TV shows. I'll get a text message from a producer that says something along the lines of, hey, we need somebody to come commentate. Joe Biden fell down some stairs. Are you available? Yeah, I could do that. And I won't go in totally unprepared, right? Like I'll have some fun fact in the back pocket. Like, did you know that Joe Biden was born closer to Abraham Lincoln's second inauguration than his own inauguration? That's true, by the way. It's a true thing. I'll get all ready and I'll sit down in front of my camera, and the producer will be in my ear and they'll say, thank you for coming on, really appreciate you being here. I'll say thank you for having me, I love doing your show. And more often than not, they will say this, by the way, we changed the topic, hope that's okay, good luck. And then you'll hear the commercial music come back, and the anchor will start talking, and I'm sitting there in my chair. And then I'll hear words like, more Americans are dead from the rampant crime coming up from the southern border. Here to comment is comedian. Did you know that Joe Biden was born closer to Abraham Lincoln's second inauguration than his own inauguration? I'll tell you this, and I realize I probably am just complaining about work at this point. We've all seen those cable news panels, right, where they have people on and they all comment on a different story, and like the Five and any of those panels. I always thought that people knew each other. People were kind of friends off camera, and then they wouldn't say anything that crazy that people had to defend on other cameras. I've been on a couple panels, I really like them. Here's the problem. You have no idea who's going to be on that panel with you. And some people say crazy things. And you have to sit there and nod like, holy cow, that guy's nuts. I would like to share with you one of the craziest things that somebody said on a panel that I was on. Now, before I say this, I gotta make sure, this is not me saying this, okay? This is not me, I don't think this. Are we good on that? Good? Okay. Some guy said that the country started to take a turn for the worse when, I gotta be really clear here, this is not me. Are we good? Victor, are we good? Okay, this is not me saying this. Some guy said the country started to take a turn for the worse when women got the right to vote. I know! It's crazy. I can't believe somebody would think that something that horrendous and terrible. However, he went on to make the point that the country's going pretty smooth. Women get the right to vote in 1919. 10 years later, the Great Depression hits. And then 10 years after the greatest economic collapse, World War II. So, I realize this is not going well. So I get it. That's a pretty offensive joke. I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to all of the men in the audience that have to drive home with that lady. If you laughed at that, you're going to be doing your best Fauci impersonation. I do not recall laughing at such a horrendous joke. Do you guys remember COVID? No, see, it depends on where I'm at, because a lot of people are like, oh, in Montana are like, nah, it didn't really bother us much. See, but I live in California. Things were really, really cracked down in California. But I got to tour a lot of the country. I got to go all over the place, and I got to see how other places and other groups were dealing with the Fauci fever. Now, we never heard Fauci fever? Okay. I got to see what other groups were doing. And I noticed that there were some groups out there that didn't bend the knee to COVID at all. Not only did they not bend the knee to COVID, they kept businesses open. Not only did they keep business open, they forced them. Yeah. During COVID, there were groups out there that forced businesses to stay open. And those groups were the Mexican drug cartels. Kind of an uncomfortable truth. In some ways, the Mexican drug cartels did a lot better job protecting people's freedom than the California government. Now, okay, here's what I'm not saying, right? I know our government has its flaws, but I do not want to trust the Mexican drug cartels with protecting my freedoms, right? I'm not saying that. However, if I had a small business during the BLM riots, and I didn't want that business to burn to the ground, and I had to pick which group would protect my business the best between the California government, Juan and Pablo from Sinaloa, Vámonos, amigos, let's rock and roll. Small business during the BLM riots, I'm going to go ahead and go with the guy whose nickname is El Chupacabra and his cousin Spider. I'm not going to go with the group that can't figure out which bathroom to use. California was rough during COVID. I know you guys all lived it. I lived it too. And Gavin Newsom, who's running for president now. Did you know that? Yeah. I agree. I don't know what his platform is going to be. Are your taxes too low? Are there not enough homeless people pooping on your streets? Do you hate it that your kids' genitals aren't being mutilated? That was probably too much. All right. Gavin Newsom for president. I don't know if you guys remember this. During COVID, Joe Biden said that 200 million Americans died during COVID. Some of you are good at math. There's only 330 million people in this country. So Joe Biden said that 2/3 of Americans died during COVID. I'm here to tell you this. If 2/3 of Americans died during COVID, that would be awesome. Honestly. Look, I love and appreciate all of you, but I would happily sacrifice you to get down to Newport Beach 30 minutes faster. Should we talk about Joe Biden? It's funny because I had a lot of Joe Biden material, and then a couple months ago, the craziest thing happened. And he decided to drop out of the way. So I was met with like a fork in the road. Like, do I keep doing Joe Biden material? And then I remembered, oh, he's still the President of the United States. This is concerning. He hasn't been seen in weeks. And there's a lot of conservative commentators saying, Joe Biden hasn't been seen in weeks. What is he doing? What is he up to? And when they say that stuff, I think, hopefully nothing. It's when he starts doing things that's the problem. You know what Joe Biden didn't do this week? Give $240 million to the Taliban. When Joe Biden was running, we're in this age of AI and deepfakes. And during the campaign, I could never figure out why the Biden campaign wasn't using AI and deepfakes. Right? Like when he would give a speech and say, in my second term, I will... how easy it would be for some 20-year-old intern to just AI that out? Then you could understand what he was really saying. In Obama's 4th term, I will still be creepy and pander to black people. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I think there's one very important thing that all Americans should know about Joe Biden. If there's one thing that every single American should know about Joe Biden, it would be So I'm curious here. Some of you guys might have seen some of the shirts out in the lobby. The patented, here, I've got one right here. The patented Joe Biden, what? T-shirt, Obama-fied. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you, I'm sort of trying to sell you this. I've got a story, but also, if you don't own one, I assume you vote for him. Is that the one you get most offended by? Yeah, say women can't vote, but don't you dare call me a Democrat. They're out in the lobby. We've been selling these shirts his entire presidency. And now that he's no longer in the race, I just want to get rid of them. So if you all could do me a favor, there's really no price on there. There's like a little QR code, or just leave cash on the table. I'm not really worried about theft. I don't think there's any Democrats in the room. So by round of applause, how many of you have what some people might call a triggering t-shirt? Yeah? All right. I also have my fair share of triggering t-shirts. Now, here's the thing. When you wear a triggering piece of clothing, a lot of times the interaction is usually good. You'll probably get like a nod from across the room. On a good day, you'll get a high five. But I know what we all really want. The confrontation. And not all that long ago, it finally happened to me. I was wearing my Joe Biden, what? T-shirt. And I was at an airport, and I saw it from across the terminal. A blue hair. Now, I didn't acknowledge it. Her, they, him, whatever. But I kept my cool, and all of a sudden, she was right in front of my face. And she said to me, "Your shirt is disgusting." Now, I kept my poker face on, guys, but inside, I was like, yes! It's finally happening! I let her finish. She said, "Your shirt is disgusting. How dare you make fun of someone with a mental disability?" And then she walked away. I'm pretty sure I won that conversation. I heard on the radio, somebody came up with this brilliant idea. They were like, Congress should pass a bill that gives Joe Biden $1 billion to resign. And I heard that idea, that might actually save us some money, honestly. See, but then my friend pointed out to me, well, here's the problem with that. Then you have President Kamala Harris. Now, here's the thing. We can do the same deal with her, except we don't have to pay her as much because she's a woman. I don't make the rules, man. That's just what they keep saying. To me, the gender pay gap means discount. Why not utilize it? I don't know if you guys remember this 60 Minutes piece not all that long ago. The reporter on 60 Minutes asked Kamala Harris, "People are concerned about Joe Biden's age and ability to think." I'm paraphrasing. "How do you think that this will affect the president in his second term?" Kamala Harris's answer, I kid you not, was, "Well, he's alive." What an odd thing to say. That's like if, God forbid, something actually happened and Joe Biden were to pass away. Kamala Harris would sprint to a microphone, "It wasn't me!" And then we'd all be like, "We have video proof of you doing it." Despite all of this, I'm gonna make some people upset, I still am firmly Biden 2024. Not Joe, by the way. No, Hunter Biden for president. Are you guys familiar with this man's resume? He's an Eastern European oil executive. He's a North African land development manager. He's a Chinese financier. He's a world-class painter. And he has done all of this while high on cocaine banging hookers. If that is not a presidential resume, I do not know what is. There's a lot of jokes to make about the current presidential race. And I've settled on what I think is the most interesting facet of the Trump v. Kamala race. Donald Trump is very good at coming up with nicknames and slogans and sayings that kind of get his base riled up and out to the polls. But I feel like in this particular election cycle, he's having a little bit of trouble coming up with a slogan for Kamala Harris. Right? I can just picture him workshopping different slogans with his aides. Right? I can see him saying, "We'll keep it simple, keep it short, Kamala sucks." Sir, that's actually an advantage she has. How about this? Kamala is going down. Again, sir, you're playing into her strengths. We will bring Kamala to her knees. I have the story I want to tell you, but in light of recent events, I've considered pulling it. But this very silly story actually did happen, so I'm going to tell it to you anyways. Before I was in this political realm, I was a photographer. I still do photography. I love taking photos. One day I get a call from a guy who I knew worked in politics. This is several years ago. And he says, "Hey man, I had an emergency and a cancellation. Can you come do VIP step and repeat photos with our VIP guests?" Now, my options were continue eating my third bag of Doritos on my couch in my underwear, or say yes. He then says, probably not something that you should answer, but he then says, "That's great, glad you can make it. Text me your social security number and wear a suit." So I text him my social security number because I need the money. And I get in my suit and I drive in my car and I meet him at the location. I get out of my car, get my camera gear all ready, and then he rolls up in a golf cart driven by somebody else. I get on the back of the golf cart and he says to me, "Great, glad to have you." I say, what am I doing? Why did you need my social?" And he says, I had a cancellation of a photographer, and I need you to take pictures with our VIP guests and President Donald J. Trump. This is a true story. I was blown away. And we get to the location, and I'm introduced to a Secret Service member by the name of Stan. And Stan leads me down this hallway to this room, and he kind of explains what's going on. He says, okay, our VIP guests are going to come in through here. The president will come through here. You'll take all the photos, and then when you're done, the president will leave, the guest will leave, and I need you to wait right here. And I was like, what if I wait over here? You guys going to shoot me? Probably. So I wait for a little bit, and all of a sudden, President Trump walks into the room. It is an amazing thing that happened. A couple hours ago, I was on my couch in my underwear. Now I'm in the room with the leader of the free world. And the VIPs come through, and we start taking pictures. And you start to notice something as a photographer. All of the VIP guests who are meeting the president try to make a dumb joke to him. And Trump and I would lock eyes and go like, yeah, that's a dumb joke. We would have like a couple different moments. So the VIP guests leave, Trump leaves, it was over like that. And I'm sitting there in this room thinking, what in the world just happened? My first thought was, I gotta call my wife. Because this all happened so fast, I hadn't told anybody that this happened. I get on the phone, I call my wife. And she says, hey babe, what's going on? I say, babe, you are not going to believe what just happened. She says, oh my gosh, what happened? I say, I just shot the President of the United States of America. In hindsight, could have used some different words. But that's the terminology in photography. Now, before my wife had a chance to say anything, Stan, the Secret Serviceman, walks back into the room, and I say, oh, babe, the Secret Service is here to get me, gotta go. And I hung up the phone. Billy, thank you guys so much for coming out. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you soon. Thank you again. God bless America. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you.